Hold on, before we get started, just a few things. Number one, I want to thank our head coach, Coach Pittman, for the opportunity to be here this year 3, for us to be together. Nowhere else I'd rather be. Everybody has opportunities, but I love being a Razorback. I love what this stands for. Arkansas is very close to my heart. This is where we raised our daughter, where we started our family, and so it means a lot to me. This state's very similar to where I grew up in Kentucky, so nowhere else I'd rather be than here, and I'm appreciative of Coach giving me the opportunity to be here for year 3. I want to thank my staff. Incredible summer. Can't do it without our staff. Armand Satchel, Zach Reed, Cole Forney, Tommy McChesney, awesome staff, as I'm sure you guys know of them. And then our kids, our players, love them to death, work hard. We've pushed them is about as hard as you can to push them. Really excited where we're at. I'm sure you've heard that a lot since Coach has been at SEC Media Days, but it's been one of the best summers I've ever had in my coaching profession. So with that, we'll roll.
Coach, appreciate you talking to us. I noticed, or I heard an interview earlier a couple weeks ago about the 10 summer captains y'all have. I noticed Mike Washington and Corey Robinson were 2 of those guys. They're newcomers. What have they done to maybe establish themselves as leaders, and kind of what have you seen from them specifically?
Number one, I would say they just showed up and worked, you know what I mean, and earned the trust from their teammates, and just, in a world full of people being ambitious, they also want to talk a lot. They didn't. They just came in, followed suit, worked, and their work kind of just spoke for themselves, especially throughout spring ball as well.
When I ask you about Jaylen Brown, one of the spring portal additions at wide receiver, just what has stood out about him, not just as a player, but maybe his personality? I know you're around these guys a lot.
Number one, just like Coach said, he's fast. He's going to be a 22 or higher guy. Not quite there yet. We were kind of behind the 8 ball when he came in. Not his faults. Like I said, we're all in this together. But the last 3 weeks, he has really trended up. So more of a soft-spoken guy, but has done everything we've asked him to do. Starting to see a little more personality as that goes. Like I said, all this is new. Everywhere you go, it's similar but different, on how coaches and programs do things. So really excited to see his actions in camp.
Coach, you've talked about, Pittman's talked a lot about size, and I know some of that is recruiting and getting bigger guys to come in, but how much of that is what you've done this summer, and have you done anything differently this summer? You said it was one of the best you've ever had, so why is that?
Number one, our leadership. The leadership within from the players have been the best since I've been here, and probably the best since I've been in coaching. Very comparable to the 21 team when we were at Georgia. I mean, guys, we set the standard, and then the guys just took it and rolled with it. And there wasn't as much, I would say, we didn't have to do a whole lot because the players took it. And so if a guy was late or didn't do something right, it wasn't so much just us, it was them. And that's the first team. This has been the first team that it's been that way in 3 years since I've been here. And to me, that tells you a lot about your team. What did we do differently? We spent a little more time in the weight room, both in the spring and in the summer. Put emphasis on certain guys that we felt like needed size and speed, strength, all of it. You need all 3, but to be honest, most of the time you hear coaches like, I want to be in great shape, just like Coach said. Coach said, don't worry about being in shape. I want to be big. Well, we got to be in shape. So there's a take and give. So I'd say we attacked the weights a little bit more than probably we did last year. And some of the things that I thought would help us could turn out cute, and we took the cute out. It's just straight get after it.
Is there anyone that you specifically that stood out to you in summer that you just, we know we've seen kind of just the roster and who's put on weight, who's lost weight, but anyone specifically that you felt like really improved a lot?
It's really hard to pinpoint one, if I'm being honest. Coach alluded to this, but here's you a stat. Our DBs last year as a unit averaged 182 pounds. This year we're averaging 197. So it's a 15-pound difference. And then, you going back to speed, I think we averaged 21.56 as a group in the speed department. We're at 21.45, so we're just under a hair, but we're also heavier and bigger. And some of those guys, like a Jay Nowlin, like 159, now he's 170. It's not on the sheet, but he ran 22 mile an hour. That group really sticks out. I think this is the most depth we've had in the 3 years, I know for sure, since I've been here. So really excited about that group. Our tight ends are bigger. Some of that is obviously recruiting, but even a guy like a fifth-year guy, Rohan came in at 233, and I think he's 242. So he put on 9 pounds this summer. And then some guys took off weight. Charlie Collins is back up close to 250. He got down when he got here and didn't understand the demands on. It's a grind. College football is a grind, and it's almost like he couldn't swim. Now he's in a rhythm, and so he's close to being 250, and I see him only trending up because now he's understanding what he's got to do to take care of his business. So those are a couple guys. There's quite a few. Marion Harris, really, really good point. Last year going into camp, he was like 294. Today he weighed 313. So that's another guy, It's not going to say weight per se, but we averaging a little. We're at 317 as an O-line. Last year we were at 315, so we're up a little bit. But we also traded got bigger guys out, and we got some younger guys in. So there's going to be a take and give. But linebackers are up. They're at 230 last year. They played at 225 as average. So the only position we're down in is D-line. I think they're averaging 287. And last year we averaged right at 290. So, but we're faster. We're faster. Some of y'all with the speed, you said we were a slower team. I got some stats for you. Okay, you ready? All right. D-line went from 18.2 to 18.5. Now we're 3 pounds down, but we're a lot faster. Receiver, all right, we were at 21.8 last year as a whole. This year we're 21.2. So we're actually faster as a whole, not individually. Running backs, get this, 20.6, what we averaged last year, 21.3. So just alluding, linebackers, 21.71 last year, 21.82 this year from the summer. So quarterbacks right at the same, I think 8-9, slightly low, 20.9. But one thing I want to tell y'all don't understand how bad Taylor was hurt last year. This year, especially the last half of the season, I'd watch out. The kid's worked his butt off. We've kind of kept it in-house, but he's a tough sucker. What he dealt with the last 7 games of our season, in the bowl game, a lot of people wouldn't even play. I'll just keep it like that. I'm not going to let his info out. But long story short, he's a tough kid. He's put on 10 pounds. Another kid put on 10 pounds. It looks like it. And his speed, he is now, the last 2 weeks of summer is really trending up. So his speed is only going to get better too. So
talking about Taylor Green from the hit in the Tennessee game forward.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what Trey was doing writing about y'all are slow, but anyway.
That's not exactly what I said.
You said we were slower than last year. That's what somebody sent me.
As many people running 22s.
Sorry.
You kind of touched all over what I wanted to ask you about. Was last year you came out with some numbers. Mm-hmm. So how many 21 guys you got? How many 22s? Do you have those?
I can get them to Kyle and get them to you. I will say this, not looking at just per se. we're able to maintain our speed for longer distances, and that's what we attacked this summer. Whereas last year, hey, let's try to see how high we can get. Well, all of that's good and great, and I think we'd all agree, but maintaining your speed throughout the game is really what's indicative of your team, right? I mean, like love Andrew Armstrong, going to have a great career, led us in the in receiving, led the country conference in receiving, but he only touched 20 in a game a couple times. You know what I mean? But he ran 22. This year's team were able to cover more yardage at a higher speed, and that's what we threw at them. You know, so there's a few guys that may not have hit 22 in the summer, but they're hitting 21 longer for more reps in a longer distance. And so we think that's what's going to benefit us better as we go throughout the year.
I want to ask you specifically about Cam Ball, just what you make of him and maybe being stronger now with his elbow in better shape and maybe his leadership skills. What do you think of Cam?
Love him. I mean, he's matured every year. You know, same deal. I mean, I don't think really people understand what he was playing with. I mean, playing with 1.5 arms. He's done a really great job with his rehab. Vince, our athletic trainer, shout out to him. Him and his staff done a really, really good job with Cam. But Cam is already back to benching like 365, 375, and he just got cleared like 3 weeks ago. So he's gonna be fine. But love the kid. I mean, you talk about, and this is no exaggeration, Cam and I are probably as close to with each other than anybody. And if you knew the money he was offered to leave here and him to stay, that tells you a lot about who he is. And I think what he believes in us as a staff program and wants to leave his legacy. And so I think this is a big, big year for him, and I think it'll show.
You mentioned Talon playing through pain last year. Just what specifically did the offseason look like for you and him? Like, what were you targeting, and how do you kind of navigate that with a quarterback as opposed to other positions?
Yeah. Well, first, he's tall. I mean, he's legit 6'6.5". You know, number one would be to decrease the pain, because we can't increase performance if the pain's the same or getting worse. Number two, range of motion. All right, getting full back range of motion, because if we limit his range of motion, when he gets into full flexion or extension on the field, that's when your injuries are going to happen. So getting him moving back and properly, and then obviously after that would be your strength and your power. And so there was a lot of take and give and filling him out, and I think that's a respect thing, me for him and him for me and our staff. But I think if you ask any of the kids, nobody wants the best for them than our staff. We're with them all the time. But it's constant communication, what hurts, what doesn't, and then how can we do that? So the goal was from January to now, how can we continue to move forward and get better every day and not have any setbacks? And so I really like where we're at. I think he would tell you that. I'm sure he's talking sometime soon, but I mean, he is peaking at the right time going into camp. We're really excited that he's back to who he is.
When you take in a freshman or a first-year transfer in spring into summer, what's your first priority with them, and why?
Number one, evaluate, because I don't know what they're coming from, and we all know what assuming does. So we take a couple weeks to evaluate them, and then after that, it's kind of like a progression. Okay, do you meet these? All right, we'll go to the next thing. Do you meet these? We'll go to the next thing. A lot of it, too, I mean, that's a broad question, right? Because some guys we get for 6 months, 7 months. Some guy, like your high school kids, like an Antonio Jordan, hopefully we get him 4, But so it's kind of a skewed, but biggest thing is evaluate. You know what I mean? Evaluate them as a player, their movement, how they run, all that type of stuff.
First impressions, impressive impressions, I guess, of Antonio Jordan, because we've heard Sam single him out. I mean, does he look like a freshman receiver to you when he stepped in the building?
No, I mean the kid looks like he's about 22. So no, he doesn't. He's a tall kid, obviously. But one thing that I would say is him as a kid or a guy, when he came in, he knew how to work. That's the first thing that stood out to me. He knew how to work. A lot of guys that we get, they don't know how to work. You know what I mean? Because one thing we're built on is hard work and toughness. Like that's who we got to be. Now, are his numbers where they need to be? No, but he's a freshman. He's 18 years old. But he's tough. He works, don't say nothing, just shows up every day and just works. And so, to me, that's the biggest thing that stood out. But I may be wrong and might have to eat my words, but I think by game 4 or 5, you're going to see a huge difference from camp until game 4, game 5. I think he's really going to escalate.
You mentioned Rohan Jones already and that added weight. Was that something you guys always envisioned? Like he had that easy projection? Was it a lot of work to add that weight? And how important was that moving into a tight end now in the SEC where he's going to have to block more and be a little, do some different things, be heavier, stronger like that?
Yeah. Well, Coach was very, very adamant that we get bigger up front, and we look bigger. And so part of that in the box play is your tight ends. Rohan can run, He can actually run faster, I think, than maybe the info y'all got. But I think once he went through spring, he's like, oh, crap. This ain't Montana State, which is a really good program. So I'm not saying, but it's just different, right? You got bigger bodies, faster dudes coming off the edge. You got to be able to chip. And so I think we just made it an emphasis as a staff to get big, and then we play around with guys during training camp because is he too big, is he too small, you know what I mean, and kind of adjust. And he's probably one of those guys that we're doing that with because we want him to be fast because he is a difference maker, but he's also going to be sturdy on the ends with the other guys.
Also said a mile per hour number doesn't tell the whole story.
I know you did. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Hey,
and I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering, who are the decathlete? I know you probably say Larry Worth and Mike Washington be guys that are just good in everything. But I was wondering, for a younger guy that's coming up, who's really just a beast in every category, speed and strength.
Yeah, I'll tell you, C.J. Brown's had a really good summer. Really, really impressed with CJ. I mean, he's hit 22 5 or 6 times this summer, and we've had 8 sessions, or 8 weeks, I should say. So very, very consistent. Put on weight. He's up 10 pounds. He's a guy that stands out, as you said, from a skill guy. Julian Neal really, really stood out to me. He's an older guy, but I mean, you just look. I mean, I don't know his numbers quite. I mean, I do, but you look at him, and he's a DB. He's 208. Power cleans 315. Benches 315. Squatted 500. 38.5-inch vertical. 11.3 broad. So I mean, runs 21. I mean, he told me the last week this is the best he's felt, and this is the highest he's been able to perform that. Not saying that. I'm saying that because it's a fifth-year guy. You come in, you put the work in, and you'll reap your rewards. So from a skill standpoint, if you tell me that, Rodney Hill's had a really good summer too. He's hot. He ran 21.9 something, almost 22. He only hit 21 once or twice last summer, and so he's up in weight too. So really excited about him. But those are a couple guys that I would say, right off the rip that are more skill, smaller guys per se that has really done well.
I know with Mike, COVID kind of interrupted his recruitment and stuff, but I mentioned Larry and Mike, and both those guys have outstanding numbers. How did a guy like that, Larry's 6'4", 225, and Mike's numbers speak for themselves, but how do guys like that kind of slip through the cracks a little bit to where they end up at smaller schools and when they clearly have SEC attributes?
Yeah. That's a great question. Number one, it could be the area they're from. You know what I mean? What level of ball do you play? Because competition against good competition is really your evaluation, right? Some of that is he's a big back. Well, we're not a big back system. You know, some schools don't believe in 220, 230-pound back. We want 205. A guy like Larry, it's, you know, a lot of places too, when Larry was coming out, it's a lot of people liked him, but it's like, well, where do we play him? You know, and sometimes that can, well, what is he? I don't know, but dude jumps 11.4, runs 21, he's 225, jump 40. I mean, I'm gonna find a spot for him, right? And so, and that's kind of what we've done here. And so I think sometimes they just slip through because of those type of things.
Braylon Russell looked like he lost a little weight over the spring. Looks like he slimmed down. Still looks like he's in great shape. But considering his running style and the fact it's a very punishing running style, any concern loss of weight could take a little bit more toll on his body?
No. Actually, I'm more eager to see him, to be honest. I think he's a guy that needs to stay around the 245. He is a big back. But the best ability is availability, right? And being able to repeat it over and over and over and over. I'm not sure if y'all remember, but the Mississippi State game, he kind of strained his hamstring, right? Well, that's the fastest he had ever ran since he had been here. The fastest. And so a point of emphasis in the spring and the summer is we have to repeat your speeds over and over and over. So when you do get that breakout run, you don't have the tissue and the strain on the hamstring like that. But you can't just coast, and then when it's time to go. It's not how this league works. But his body fat's dropped. I mean, like I said, y'all are going to see him tomorrow. How many of y'all coming to 6 a.m. practice? Should be all y'all. But you'll see. I mean, he does. He looks good. He's in a lot better shape than what he was last year. A lot of that's maturity, right? I'm a year in the program. But really excited about that room, excited for him. He's a powerful back. Same thing. You look at his number, his power has gone up. So last year we had 15 guys, broad jump 10 or more. We had 31 this year. So we've even doubled that. And so put a really emphasis on power. So going back to him, it's right up his avenue, you know, and really like our team, and I think we're going to be a lot better up front too.